Namaste. Welcome to our Tuesday Satsang. So all of you, we're seeing multiple screens as we...
We're looking over here because we're looking at a second screen, you guys. Lakshmi Shakti.
Yeah, yeah.
It helps if I unmute.
Okay, so here we are. This is our last satsang for a couple of weeks because we'll be doing the 9-day. And it should be a very interesting 9-day because I understand we have
maybe 70 people signed up right now.
Okay.
This is going to be the first time online, you guys. Also, I just want to give a small announcement. I am sending out a survey through SurveyMonkey asking for your feedback on the types of programs that we're going to be doing, what you like to see, times of the week, or days of the week, times, topics you'd like to see Sat-Shri talk about. So I really appreciate it when you get the survey. If you could just, it's really quick. You just like basically check things off. It'll help us provide programs that you guys want. So thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is our Tuesday night program. So anybody from anywhere can join in. So there's all kinds of people who are listening to me right now.
Actually, it's Tuesday morning here.
Yeah, Tuesday morning here, but wherever you are. So we've been in a theme addressing our role as awakened being during this time of the coronavirus, and which as I've said before, is just one symptom of a much greater peril that's coming, showing signs of our ability to respond collectively to the lessons that Prakriti, that the World Mother, is now bringing to all of us to wake us up to be in greater presence and responsibility for the change that is behind this coronavirus that needs to be addressed from that state of consciousness. Now I'm talking to all of you because I am certain that if you're here, you're actually aligned with the purpose that I'm here for, the new Dharma is here for, one that I was awakened to in 1998, and I have been serving ever since. And basically, the conversation I've been having earlier has been how to wake up from the middle of the story. That is, to discover that in fact, that you're in a story that you've inherited and taken on, and your truth of you has been lost in your adaptation to that collective story of mankind that has conditioned and programmed all of us. But actually what has conditioned and programmed all of us, we talked about on Saturday when we did the intensive, when we talked about how it all works. The reason I communicate this information to you is so that you can understand that the story you've known is a tiny fragment of a larger story that those of us have awakened to will empower us to come to play the role we're here to play. It's been clear to me all along that awakening, as it was for me, is purposeful. It is not just for our own enlightenment. That's here to serve the collective transition that mankind is going through. It's been very clear from the very beginning. It's been clear as I've read the teachings of Sri Aurobindo, my own teacher, Sri Atmananda, other teachers like Meher Baba. They all have spoken of a transition that mankind is coming to, and that the opportunity can go one of two ways. And that if the awakened beings on this planet can align intentionally and consciously with the purpose of this time, and to find an understanding of the nature of this structure of which we were born into that's truer than the one that we've been habituated to, that we could create together a shift in the vibrational frequency of mankind, and not just mankind, but the planet itself.
I'm just seeing Hugh. Hey, Hugh. I'm sorry.
She can't help herself.
This is the best part. Okay, I'll be quiet.
She was
He's being so serious.
she's bubbling. She's bubbling. She's the bubbling one today.
This is my favorite part, is being able to see everybody on screen. So anyway, Satri, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So it is clear to me that we're all on a journey. We're all on a journey of unconsciousness. This journey of consciousness has stages. We've talked about this. And part of it had to do with the nature of where we are as a species and where you are, of all of you who are listening to me, is that you're on the return journey. You're on the last aspect of the journey of consciousness has gone on since the beginning of creation. And the nature of that journey, understanding the nature of that journey, is a key point of what I wanted to reiterate, and I will continue to reiterate, to empower you to recognize the opportunity of your life. So let me read something from the handout that we had in the intensive on Saturday. The return journey. The return journey is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Basically, it has 3 interconnected stages. First is the awakening of the inner truth, the inner sat, or soul within. Second is the undoing of the identification with the personality, body, and life in which it awoke. And third is the strengthening of the inner reality until it overtakes the habit of the human nature. So those are the 3 movements. This is this awakening, which is occurring throughout the world. Many, many, many more people are awakened than know they're awakened. They just think they're in a terrible period of their life, because awakening within the context of the old story is usually waking us up to the misery of our bondage. So for most, they don't know they're awakening. But for those who are on this call, you know you've awakened at some level. I assure you, you may not know the full nature of your own awakening. This has been my experience in working with so many people, is they don't realize the divinity that they've come to. It gets covered over by the habit of the old story. So first, it's this awakening. Second, it's in the process of awakening to your bondage. That means becoming more aware of the structures of darkness that you've been conditioned by, habituated with, or you took on in the course of your life, living out the unwitting errors of our inheritance. This awakening to our ignorance, this waking up to our ignorance, is one of the true indicators of our awakening. Every time we awaken to our ignorance, we get in touch with a quality of being that's truer, humbler, more open to the recognition of the things that haven't worked and the things that can work. And the third is the strengthening of the inner reality that has awakened in us. This inner reality is our eternal self. This is what each human being carries within themselves as the seed of their own existence, as the foundational capacity to know, to experience, to live, to learn, to grow, to fail, to be miserable, to suffer. That one principle is a piece, a spark of one supreme being that is holding the opportunity of this entire existence, not just Earth. And within that is this huge capacity, this huge potentiality that is seeking to manifest as us. That's the purpose of your life. The learning to become aware of what is awakening in us, recognizing it as reality. That empowers us to handle the process that inevitably occurs after awakening, that forces us to meet our piece of the collective evolutionary content, karma, consequence including the heir of our in particular inheritance, our mother, our father, their father, to meet these in a way where we're not overtaken by them, but in fact, empowered by them. Because the more we can become aware of our limited story, the more we empower that a divine reality that we are. So then it comes down to, while we're in the midst of the process of this aligning of ourselves with this return journey, which has stages and has steps and processes, which all my teachings and the Bhagavad Gita point to, it is about empowering you to know the truth of you, what is the work, and what is the opportunity. So right now, I'm going to talk about the opportunity. This moment that we're in, this period of transition. We are all carry the wisdom and the truth and the power that can bring this transition to its full positive outcome. How do we do that? What is the nature of that labor, the work? It's these three parts. It's the awakening. It is becoming aware of that which is not awakened. And it's empowering that has awakened in us. All of my work is focused on this. And what I ask, what I'm inviting you to do in this talk, as in all my talks, is to become intelligent collaborators with your own process by giving you right information, by giving you opportunities to empower that inner reality that you are, and to give you training opportunities as to how to meet the remaining darkness and ignorance in you. No, in all my talks, when I used to speak to new audiences, I would say, the work that we have in this life is to answer three fundamental questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And how do I live? So I'm here to empower you to get clarity on those answers. And this one of how do I live is really where the tire meets the road. This is the reason we were born, to be awakened and to align ourselves with an intent, a will that comes from, I could say, the world mother. That will of the world mother is for all of us. It is also for each of us, but it is also for all of us. Aligning our will with that mother's purpose, with the purpose of the world mother, is a process of dismantling the part of us that is still shaped by our own narrow self-interest, our own self-will. That is based on the programming and the conditioning of the story we were born in the middle of. We were hapless. We did not have a choice. The story was going on. It had already been going on for thousands of years, and we were born in the middle of it. We spend our entire childhood trying to figure out what's our role in this. But this is all based on the error of the previous consciousness, from the lowest to the most recent. So we all carry a limitation, and that is what we call ego. The self-referencing that is about itself, me, mine, or at best ours, but it's only ours because I'm invested in the other as part of me. When we live for our self-will, if our self-will takes our actions, if we continue to act on the programming that we inherited, then we'll not awaken, and we will not be able to come out of our awakening, nor would we be able to fulfill our purpose. And what is that purpose? When we align with Dharma. See, Dharma is an ancient recognition that came from in the Vedic tradition of the first rishis that existed thousands and thousands of years before civilization developed, before language. And they looked out into existence and they said, how can this be? How can I be here experiencing this? How can I think? How can I feel? How is it that I can act? How can I love? How can I work? How is it? What are the preconditions that have allowed me to exist with this capacity to be awake, to alive, to live? And these rishis saw that there was a purpose. This was the Dharma. That all of human beings were an expression of this world mother, and that we all have our own unique role to play in that purposeful unfolding. See, that's our predicament. We have been living a Dharma based on a collection of egos over thousands and thousands of years, some of whom have been aligned with the divine will, but most have not. And the mother, world mother, can only hold so much of that error before she herself becomes incapable of fulfilling her Dharma or holding the unfolding of her purpose. In fact, many of us have this process ourselves, where our own spiritual transformation becomes so intense, we cannot hold it. When the content of our ignorance and the content of the compelling story that we were born into overtakes our ability to connect to our awakened self, what do we need? It's the same thing the mother needs during periods of transition, intervention. The world mother needs help, just as each of us need help. We need clarity. We need understanding. We need to be able to recover our awakened self. We need to reorganize our lives aligned with that awakened self. And we need to get in touch with the mother's empowerment for those of her children who align with the purpose she is here for, which is for all of us, as well as for each of us. So when we align with Mother's will, when we align with the world Mother's will, we are here for all of us and for each of us. When you find yourself living your life for that purpose, then you are aligned with Dharma. And you are actually reestablishing Dharma as a spiraling influence from first those most close to you, and then those who move into contact with you, and then into the collective consciousness. No one of us can do this. No matter what the degree of effectiveness of our awakening and how quickly we can align with it, one individual expression of the Supreme Being is not going to be enough. We're not going to need thousands and thousands. And that's why I'm talking to you. You're here to hear this. You're on this video call to receive this information so you can be empowered with everyone else who is on this call and who can hear this message to align ourselves to serve this purpose of reestablishing Dharma, of creating a new relationship with the opportunity of existence that us human species, this human species, each of us carry. And we are going to have to lift 75% of the rest of mankind who is not awakened. So it is a battle. It is the Mahabharata. It is the great battle, the greatest of battles. It's not just succeeding and surviving this coronavirus. This is learning how to realign our lives such that the larger lesson, which is already happening, which has consequences that will, even if we stop today, will go on for 1,000 years, can be mitigated. we can find ways in our awakened collaboration as a species, but also through as each of us awakened beings align with our reason we were here, we are here. This is my time. This is when I'm here. I was born for this moment. I'm born for this opportunity. Those who are with me were born for this opportunity, and those who can hear this message are born for this opportunity. This now can empower nows in the future that have not yet manifested of a different order than what we've been able to know before. I believe we're doing this right at this moment. Right now, as we are together in this conversation. And the part of you that can receive this is being nurtured, being clarified, being empowered. You may not be in your conscious mind right now. You may be able to feel it in your body. Maybe you can feel the current that living me right now, this intentional current of the Satchitananda that comes from the world mother to nurture truth, to nurture awakening, to nurture love. Because it's in that love that we include, that we come together naturally. Like gravity, we will be pulled together naturally. Truth, consciousness, Ananda, Satchitananda. You perhaps feel that current. If you feel that current, then you're already aligned with Divine's will. You're already sacred. And everything else that comes up that tries to make you not remember your sacredness is the error that we've all inherited. And rather than be defeated by it, rather than be overtaken by it, see it as an opportunity to just meet it. Meet it in its primal expression. Meet it in that visceral, bodily, energetic event. And that's how you undo it. This path isn't about fixing anything. It's about shifting our relationship with it, shifting the quality of our being and our consciousness with what is arising. And we can't do that. The little will, the little ego can't do that. It is only when the intervention comes and it joins you that it can be done. And this is just truth. So we're now coming up for our 9-day retreat. It'll be our first fully virtual, online 9-day retreat. I know how powerful being silent and still for 6 hours a day, for the most part of 9 days. I know that it strengthens that eternal reality that we are, that principle I call Sat, that existing reality that has the power to create new realities. We pull out of our habit of ourselves, our doingness, our thinkingness, our emotional reactions, our story making, our resentment. We pull out of the habitual limited capacity of our body to tolerate certain kinds of experiences versus other kinds of experiences, or that which is still addicted to other types of experiences than those that are aligned with Dharma. So that's one important piece, because when we gather together in sufficient quantity and we move into that primal condition from which consciousness arose, and we find that within our own embodiment, our awakening is empowered in its ability to awaken. Not only us, but all who we are connected to. And it trickles into the collective consciousness from the inside out. For all who join me in this, we are going to be in conscious collaboration in empowering the very fundamental principle of awakening so that it even penetrates into ordinary human consciousness, so they can begin to discern and see the consequences and find the corrections of the error of the lessons that are coming. Okay, so welcome. This is the nature of New Dharma. This is the nature of my work. So now I want to hand it over to those, a few of you anyway, who can feel to come forward and share your experience or ask questions to get clarity or just to,
Tell us how you're doing today.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's
show
simple.
up, right? That's the first step, show up. I used to say that, show up for the people who are in the room, but now I'm saying showing up for all of you wherever you are. This is clearly a shift where it's no longer necessary for you to show up other than to be present with as much consciousness as you can with our online gathering.
Can I bring Jaya up? Jaya, are you willing to come up?
Yes, so let's back off some on the camera. So
She
special
just
minds
got
can
back
see.
from India in Rishikesh. Hello, are you unmuted? I think they have to unmute you. We're learning on a bigger screen right now.
All right, so and also can we,
Sure, I can unmute you. You're unmuted
There
now,
she
Jaya.
is. Yay!
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. Just minimizing so I can see you there. Yeah, I got in yesterday afternoon and slept for a few hours, and yeah, I'm kind of alternating between some kind of like exhaustion and elation at the same time. So yeah, it's a strange situation, and yeah, even just looking at you, Satri, I'm just feeling like just a lot of gratitude in my heart, and yeah, I don't know what to say. Just like this, I'm locked in this strange apartment in Toronto, and I didn't plan to be here. And then, but just like, I've been up since 2 a.m. I've just been like reading stuff on the internet and listening to talks. And I don't know, I just feel this like real elation and possibility. And I don't know where it's going or what's happening, but just really glad to see you. And that's what's happening.
We're thrilled to see you. Jaya, do you want to just in like a few sentences share with people who don't know your situation how you came to get to be in Toronto and now Washoe Valley?
Well, I was in India and then the borders closed down before I was able to fly.
And we had all been in Rishikesh.
Yeah, we were in Rishikesh, and then had to, I guess, waited a bit too long to get to US, and then all the borders closed down and all the flights we kept booking got canceled. And just got a Canadian repatriation flight out day before yesterday. So it took us about like 48 hours to get back, but immensely grateful to the Canadian government for coordinating that. And I think
So
we're
how
almost
was it for you?
all back now. What's that?
How was it for you though? And you guys got locked down because that was like within what you had maybe, how much warning did you have that you're going to be locked down?
Well, they gave us a day warning before the 1-day lockdown, so we were able to get supplies. But then I think 3 hours before the end of that lockdown, then they said there was going to be the 21-day lockdown. So we prepared for the 1 day, and we're like, oh, this is fun. Like we have a nice 12 hours to be in the hotel all day long, and then they gave basically no notice for the 21-day lockdown. So that was a bit of a surprise, but we were able to get out in the morning between 7 and 10 and get supplies, and it actually was amazing. We were supported as we needed to be, but it was a different experience than we had planned to stay for, definitely.
Well, what was that experience for you, knowing that you just had no idea if you're going to get home anytime soon? What came up for you?
Well, it was hard. It was okay when the Adi Deva and Eric were in the same hotel as me, and when they were there, it was pretty good. But when they left before me, and then the Americans left, then it was just me there, and I didn't know if I was going to get home, and we didn't know if the hotel is going to still give us food, and you just don't know. And it was really, it was probably like 3 of the hardest days of my life, just having to be willing to just have whatever happens happen. And
Got it.
yeah, it was like just complete like helplessness, having to surrender, having to have faith, and just, yeah, like a lot of, I think just like primal terror came up, just so much fear. I was having like kind of similar to hearing Tonya speak, just panic attacks and grief, and then but then when that would shift, I'd be in this like huge gratitude state of like, wow, but I'm in Rishikesh and this beautiful divine city, and no one's walking around, and so you can like actually see the river and see the trees and see the beauty, and the animals were all like going wild, and like, so it would be like terrible terror and then huge elation. So I was willing to stay there if I needed to be. I didn't get on the first round of flights at first, and so I thought, yeah, I might be there for who knows how long it would be. And then just basically when I made peace with staying there, then I got an email saying there was a flight the next day, and then now I'm home. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm like, yeah. Not
Raya,
lost
thank
yet.
you. I'm glad you made it home.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay,
Good to see you
sweetie.
guys.
So
So-
as you'd like to come up and interact with Sawatri, please just click the participants button on the bottom of your page and use the raise your hand feature on the side. And we do have Erin who's raised her hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay, Erin.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. Hi. So this is the call where I do this and you say congratulations. So I've been fine. What stayed with me since I emailed you a month ago or two was that experience that I went through. And what's going on right now? Well, okay, so it's like two things. What's going on right now? Why am I crying now? Since I paid the money to attend, something's really opened up. And I'm constantly nauseous, like nauseous all the time. So I've been dealing with it just by working all the time or staying physically active all the time, which has been great in terms of kicking the Thomas that I've been in. Yeah, it's kicked to the curb, at least for now. And then this morning I woke up in so much nausea. It was like what came was what you've said about take the label off and just feel what it is. And it was just so much energy and working on this knot in my third chakra that's been there my whole life. And that I experience as nausea. So there's that. Can we talk about that first?
So clearly you're in the midst of your own Mahabharata, Erin, as you have periodically. So part of every time you link up with me, this gets strong because
Yeah.
the divine, the world mother is trying to prepare your system. She's doing it. And the conditioned part of us has to process out the unwitting investment in the error that we inherited. And it's the unwitting investment, which is the pain of the anguish, the nausea, the anger, sorrow. It's all embedded because you carry a particular piece of collective error that is darker than others. But it's also, she will only bring to you what you can handle. Just have faith in that process. The Rajas in you keeps confusing you, making you think you need to do something. But there isn't anything you need to do. You just need to be where you are and know that you are aligned with the world mother and that this is your piece of the work. Your connection to me has been for years now. Just have faith in that. Do meet the requirements of your life as best you can. Stay connected when you can. And in time, all of this will resolve. It will resolve. Because even though you're not able to receive the benefit, it is permeating into the according with you and all people who are connected to you, as well as the collective consciousness. It's a worthwhile labor, but don't hang on to it. Be willing to let it go. Be willing to allow it to end. Don't keep reclaiming it. Offer it up. It's not your responsibility to do this alone. You just need to keep aligning yourself with the world mother and her purpose for you. She's there with you. You know it.
Yeah.
When this is past, you're in touch with her. So remember that.
Okay. So the part that triggered me into moving into the tears this morning was when I spent an hour just keep coming back to remove the word nausea and just be with the energy, and then came back the memory of, I'll call it the bounce, where my system tried to wake up last month or whenever that was now again, and I went through that again. But this time what was different was my awareness of the process. So I just want you to tell me what that was. And
Exactly
so
what you think it is. You're more present with it. There's more of the truth of you with
the process.
the process.
Because
That's
it
the nature of it.
it was like I was experiencing this, and this is what I'm used to. And then some part of me just started screaming because this came down and the two were aligning. And it was like, stop that. Don't do that. What are you doing? Don't do that. And then the moment the two aligned, that voice couldn't be there anymore. And then that's when the earthquake happened. So I know that was these two things aligning. And can you just tell me, like, because I guess I'm aware
That's
that I'm
the
afraid of it
intervention.
happening. Say again?
Aaron, that's the intervention. That's the grace, your higher self coming in.
Okay, that's what I
You as
thought.
the world mother joining with it, trying to establish yourself in your body.
That's what I thought. Do I need to try to stop it like I was trying
You
to
can't,
last time?
no, do not.
I can't, basically. I can't
Yeah,
try to
you
stop
can't
it.
solve this.
Okay.
The universe is doing it. The idea of surrendering it, and then there'll be a kind of a point where you just can't take it anymore. And then you'll move. You don't even have to think about it. You'll just move. You'll just
Yeah.
shift.
Okay.
And then what it'll do is it'll open up a greater possibility. So it's the willingness to go into the darkness as long as it takes us, as long as we can stay with it, and then it will move. Now, in your case, as it is in some case, the long-term investment with the darkness has to be whittled around bit by bit by bit over time. So you're closer than you were 2 years ago. You're much closer. You're getting right down to the core structure,
Yeah.
but it still takes time. You don't want to jump across the threshold prematurely. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, Erin, we're going to have to move on.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Namaste.
Good to see you.
Yes. I want to say a little bit about how the universe works. When we align ourselves with Dharma, then life will bring us the lessons we need to meet that we wouldn't be able to meet by ourselves. So in the case of Jaya being stuck in Rishikesh, the universe took over the physicality of her life. Literally, if she could leave that location in India and return to her home, although Canada isn't really her home, but it's the only place she had to go to, and bring forward a process of terror and panic and all the rest of it as a means of allowing that principle of the intervention to come more fully into her system. And her system was able to respond to it. And what came out of it was this wonder and gratitude and humility. This is always the evidence that we've succeeded in meeting the piece of content that otherwise we wouldn't know we could meet. Now, that's not the only outcome that can come. The universe can come in and the resistance is what you meet. And that's why I say the reason the resistance is there is we've been unwittingly giving attention or empowering its validity. So we have to learn to step back from that deeply embedded identification and let the universe come in to the extent that we can. So I want to make this clear to all of you. A lot of us carry a degree of trauma. The more we are awake, the more likely we will have trauma of some form or another because we're more here in the consequence of people's actions, the world actions. And until we learn to find the inner reality, we get overtaken by it. We become it. We become the thing we resist. We become the thing we don't want to be with. We become the thing that doesn't know how to be with, whatever it is, including ourselves. So that dismantling of that structure is not something we can do ourselves, but it's something we can align with consciously, collaborate with. and to get skillful and get greater understanding about how to do that. Because the universe is going to work with each of us in our own unique way that's going to be unique to us and what our capacity is and what the possibility we carry. I just want to say that not all of you are going to find yourself closed out from going home or being in a situation where you won't need to be fed, or maybe you will come down with symptoms of the coronavirus and how to be with that. If you can learn to recognize that it's all purposeful and align your will with the will of what's showing up as a lesson to be met and experienced, then you'll have a greater possibility of getting the value of the lesson as it comes through you, and its need to teach you will be less. When we align with a collaborative attitude with the universe when it's coming, consciously willing to meet it, and rather than retreating into fear or reaction or strategies of obsessive protecting yourself, and move into an more easeful relationship with what's coming, then we are collaborating. We're consciously collaborating with the world mother. And we each carry a piece of the lesson, not just for us like we did something wrong, but for our piece of the collective error that each of us carry. Okay, let's see if there's someone else.
At present, I don't have a raised hand, but if you raise your hand, there's no line, no wait.
Oh.
It's a good sign. It's a sign that you're getting it. There's
I have
nothing
to
more needs to be said.
It is really fun, though, to see everybody's faces.
Yes.
Okay, that flushed a customer out of the
Who we
woodwork. We
flushed?
have Anita.
Oh, Anita. Okay.
Hey, Anita.
Hello.
Hello, Anita.
Anita. Hey.
Hello. Nice to see you both. Thank you for doing this.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm in this perfect element because I'm living alone. I'm living at home. I'm staying inside. It's what I normally do.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like you got permission to do what you want to do.
It's so liberating. It is so liberating. The piece of it that I find kind of interesting is how, when I was growing up, we used to go, we would go to Georgia every year, and we would go to the Okefenokee Swamp Park. And in that swamp was something called the land of the trembling earth. It was basically grasses and reeds that had been matted together over the water, and you could step out and walk on it. And it was like you were walking on a waterbed. And so my system has been feeling that, but it's been feeling it on a strata basis. Like it'll move through my lower chakras. Then I feel it moving through my heart. Then I feel it moving through my throat. It happens, it recycles all day long, going through these different places in the body, in the system. And I'm not alarmed by it. It feels absolutely natural. But I wonder
What that is.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Because everybody is in the same place. There's enough of our normal life that it seems like we're on our stable ground. But we also know that there's this huge disruption going on. So it's not as stable. So there is that sense of grounded reality is the individual ego feeling it's in control, feeling it's got it handled. When it starts moving like that, you still feel that way, but there is this, maybe this is going to hit me or someone I know. So this is in the collective consciousness. So it's good that it's hitting your lower chakras. It goes to show you that your lower chakras are open to what's occurring, at least in your neighborhood, if not in the collective consciousness. Yeah, you live in an area where there's a fair degree of privilege. So this whole uncertainty of, what's my future might be going on, even though otherwise they've got it together, right? Money in the account and bank account and no apparent illness right now and resources to tap into. So this is not the same as when walking in across the grown grass on the lake and falling through, which some people have.
Right. Oh, many.
Yeah. So this
Many. But we're also in an area where it's becoming the mini epicenter of New York. because it's moved into Connecticut. So it's,
yeah.
you know,
You're picking up because this virus comes from the first and second chakra.
mm,
It is the mother's world mother's work is she's putting in the correction to the tools that are available. They're all always from the root of us.
mhm,
So it'll come up through our umbilical connection to the earth, through the first chakra of the earth, and then the water, and then the fire. And this is the nature of this virus, is it comes from those domains.
mhm,
And it's a tool of the divine mother, the world mother, to bring about the correction. It's what she has available. And that's a sign that enough of us are awakened and aligned with the peril that she's been empowered to play the part she can play.
mhm.
So in this curse is in fact a blessing in the larger and longer period, but it's going to have real immediate consequences for those who are still addicted to the old story.
Yeah, I don't think I've been feeling fear at all. I think what I'm aware of is the sense of uncertainty, that you don't know where this is all going. You want something to hold on to, but I don't feel the fear or concern. Like if I get it, I get it. I mean,
Right. Got
you
it.
know, I'm putting things in place so that I don't want that to happen or that to happen, and then the rest is up
It's
to.
exactly the way to be, because the inner
Yeah.
peace, the inner willingness, the inner is coming from your connection with the truth of you. It's
Mhm.
the radiance of your relationship with that principle within yourself that gives you this ease, this peacefulness, this willingness, as these otherwise quite disturbing or threatening events are occurring around you.
Mhm.
That is where you are playing your role. So right now, Anita, when I ask the question, how do I live? You are living correctly. This is
Okay.
what Dharma is. You have nothing more to do than this right now.
Mhm.
That's your job.
Okay, thank you.
Can I invite someone up?
Yeah.
Hi, I'd like to invite Hugh to come up
Ah, you.
Okay.
because I've seen you sitting there and I'm hoping that's your wife
Yeah.
because I'd like to meet her.
No,
Hey. Okay. When you start talking, you'll come up. There you are. Oh. We're not going to ask what you were doing.
Getting close to the camera.
How are you guys? This is Australia, right?
All right. Good to see you.
And Hugh, your wife's name?
What's your name?
Hello, my name is Nella.
Nella.
Nella, that's right. Nella, it's such a pleasure to meet you. You have no idea.
You know, Shanti, Hugh has started a group.
I heard. I'm excited.
And on the first day, as everybody was sharing, I just, after my sharing, I look at the screen and I saw the seriousness of everyone in the group, and I just burst into a laugh. And at the end of the group, Hugh said, "You are my Shantimai, Satimai." And I wasn't sure what he meant, but today, when this group and this call started, you just said the same thing to that tree. Everything is so serious, so I knew then what he meant by that.
Nella, that's great. I love it.
The Shakti never wants the Shiva to be too serious.
That's right.
She wants to manifest, and will always be love.
Well, how are you guys doing, Hugh? How's it for you to come back?
Oh, it's been a transition. It's like the India retreat just hasn't really finished. It just keeps on going.
Just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your vibration's completely different. You've been shifting ever since, I'm sure, based on what I'm seeing. Yes, Hugh is with us in India. Were you there for the whole time?
Yes, he
Yes,
was.
you were there for the whole time. Along with, yes. All right. So
Wanna
it's
come up?
good to see you both. Now we know the two of you together.
And Nella, it's such a pleasure.
Yes.
It really is.
And Nella, that's the first time someone has shared their name, the same as my mother's name, with
Oh.
Nella. Yes, from
Yeah.
Italy, different perhaps.
Yeah. So great. Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm gonna, hold you to our promise that we'll come to Australia if you get that group going. Okay.
One more treble.
Yeah, Satri's over here rolling his eyes because he's looking forward to not much travel probably for this
Yeah,
year.
after 6.5 months of travel, I'm perfectly happy not to be. I'm always perfectly happy not to be moving. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to have to wrap it up. Is there anybody else who wants to come on?
Yeah, Lucy has her hand
Oh,
raised.
Lucy. Yes.
Hello.
Hey,
hey,
Lucy.
Lucy,
Oh.
where's Carl?
He's right here.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see
I
Carl's
see a
hand.
hand.
Oh, he's lying down.
He's on the couch.
Favorite position. Okay.
I just have to thank you for your grace. After that intensive Saturday, I had this ecstatic bliss dream, which during your talk all day, you were saying bliss and feeling it in your body, and that's not something that I experience. And so in the middle of the night, I'm awake, so I go ahead and meditate, and I lay back down, and I in some sleep state, and all of it, I'm kind of walking around a pond, and I think you're in the center of the pond, and Carl is there, and it kind of reminded me of Anita saying she's on this uneven ground, and all of a sudden I'm in this flash of swirling aqua blue, and it was just, I know what you mean, and about bliss, and it was just, I thought, did I scream out? And in my dream, I'm thinking, did I scream, or can he hear me? And so then in the dream, I wake up from within the dream and I say, I've got to tell Carl this. So I'm going and finding him, and he's sitting like at a table, like at the Lord's Supper or something. And I'm saying, you won't believe what just happened to me. And then I look over and Satri is sitting at another table and he's just smiling. So it was just absolutely your grace that you showed me where my awareness can go.
It's
And
not can go, it's where it
it is
is. That's the thing that Lucy, you need to know. You couldn't experience with the body that you've carried with you this life, but you went into your subtle body and you could experience it. That is actually you. And that bringing this, you're in touch with it right now. It's coming into your body right now.
Oh, for sure.
The dream is a doorway.
For 2 or 3 days, every time I sit down in meditation, I have this wave of nausea coming up. Not severe, but it's there. A week ago, I was kind of listening for some things. Deva Premal they're doing a meditation every day. And during that, that just came into my body, and I thought, just think of all the holy people and the thousands connected them. And all of a sudden I'm in that, and I'm thinking, okay, this matrix idea where we're filling in this matrix of light just overwhelmed me at that point. So, yeah.
This is the reason you were born, Lucy.
Yeah, I feel it so strongly.
Yeah, I can see. Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing, Lucy.
Well, it's only through your grace that happened. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
There's one more hand if there's
Okay,
time.
go.
Okay.
Okay, and it's David Castleman.
David. He's good in getting in here.
Okay, David, you're.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
It's David's computer. It's
Yes,
it's
it's me, but
I got it. Oh, you're sharing. How very nice.
every once in a while I get to talk.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, good to see you. So I'm still working in schools in that service capacity, but all the schools are closed.
Ah,
Everything's shifted. And so I'm cleaning out my coats to give to the homeless and shoes and whatever service we can do, asking how can we be of service. And we're doing kirtan, giving away our music. But I've had this incredible joy. And 2 people ago, she was saying, like, I've got my ducks in the row, and if I get sick, I get sick. We hike every day to keep our lungs strong. So I'm not really in that fear base, and we don't watch very much of that. We keep abreast to be informed. But what's going on right now is I'm in incredible joy. Incredible joy is going through. And I'm asking what that's about, and I'm getting a message that it's the balance, because someone has to be doing joy. So we're sending out joyful things and joyful music and trying to share that joy. But a little part of me, you know, still got my ego, is a little guilty for being so joyful. And we're
like you need to be miserable like everybody else. That is what ego does. It's crazy.
Right.
I don't deserve this happiness. I don't deserve this joy. But
Well,
if you're experiencing joy,
I'm enjoying it.
yeah, enjoying. Yeah, that's really enjoy, not outjoy, enjoy. Yeah, yeah, very good. And that joy is one of expressions of the Satchitananda. It comes through the rajas, so it has a different quality than it comes through the sattva or the tamas. So, but that joyful relationship with existence, you're in touch with the truth of your being in this moment. And this act, and it's good for rajas to be doing selfless service, because rajas tends to do service for itself rather than service for others. So by the fact that you're doing service outwardly, you're neutralizing that part of you that still lives for itself.
Okay.
And that's bringing joy, because the being in you knows you're doing that.
I love doing that.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the love, is when you're in alignment with your purpose, with the world mother. Perfect. So more joy, so much joy that you can't tolerate how much joy it is.
We went for a walk, and I saw a neighbor that we had never met. We just met him a week ago walking, because people were out in their garden, and I just started singing to him, and then motioned to David to come over and sing with me. And we were singing, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. And then it went into, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your gift. Beautiful.
And he said to me, he said, come over. And we came up to 6 feet. And he said, do you know when you do that, your voice creates something inside me? And this is not a spiritual man. We talked a little bit. He said, it's like I'm really peaceful and happy. And he said, it creates a vibration. Are you aware of that? I said, I know when I sing, it creates that in me. And if that creates it in you, I'm so happy.
That's perfect.
And there is the perfect example of the work. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're
All
just
right, so we need to, bye, David. All right. So we need to wrap up. We just so you know, we're still, even though it says the sign up is closed for the 9-day, you can still sign up for the 9-day because we have unlimited capacity. So if you haven't signed up, you can still sign up. And the advantage of this is that you are, the purpose of that is, as I've said before, to empower your ability to stay connected to the reality that you are. So with that said, thank you all for joining us this Tuesday, our Tuesday morning, and may you all be well and at peace.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm going to just take a few minutes to be in silence and stillness, and we will finish for the day. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri. All glory to the Supreme Mother.
To the Supreme Mother.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.